everyone, it's Jean from Inky Studio. Thank you for stopping by today. I'm glad to see you. I am starting a fall journal, and it's an envelope journal. And it is based on, I'll put down the inspiration video down below, but it's the book Vandal shop tutorial on her envelope she did a couple years ago, I believe, something like that. Anyways, the digital that I am using that I'm really excited about is from Ephemera's Garden, and I love this fall digital. When I think of fall, this is what I think of, all these beautiful colors, and of course I love owls, naturally. So I'm just going to give you a little glimpse of some of the really neat pages that comes from this kit. I'll look down below her shop as well. And this is going to be a design team project for her. And I'm just showing you what that kit is all about. Aren't these gorgeous mushrooms, owls, blossoms? I mean, what is there not to like about this? So these are just a few of the pages, and as I go along, I'll probably be adding a few more. All right, to make the base of our journal, we need 3 envelopes, and these happen to be 6x9 envelopes, but you can use whatever size you want. However, I do recommend you use like a craft envelope or something that's very heavy. Lighter weight envelopes I don't believe will hold up as well for this project, so something heavy is really very recommended. And once you have these 3 envelopes, you need to score. And so what you're going to do is I've already scored these, but let me just show you how I went about that. One envelope is going to be scored from the natural fold line to the right or towards the flap. It's going to be scored at 1/4 of an inch. So you're scoring into the flap whenever you put the score lines down here. And so the natural fold line and 1/4 of an inch. So that's one envelope. On the next envelope, you will be scoring 3/8 of an inch. So you're going 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch. And you'll be scoring into the flap on that one. And then the third one, you will be doing a 1/2 inch into the flap. All right, so that's how you're going to score the fold lines. Now, once you've got the score lines determined, if you have the flaps that are, if you have the flaps that are triangular like mine, you will need to cut them off. Most likely you will, because it's just going to reach too far and it's going to be in the way. So what I'm doing with mine is I am measuring from the score line, not the natural fold, but the score line I just made. I am measuring down 1 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut off this flap. So I'll be right back with that. All right, I have cut off the flaps down to this size here, and I wanted to just talk about the inking for a minute. If you want to distress yours, you may not want to do this, but I will point out that if we're using craft, the vintage photo does not stand out all that well. So what I did was I used the walnut stain, and I just merely took my brush or whatever you use and just went on the edges. I didn't go inside, but I just went along the edges a few times. And it's dark enough to kind of give it a little bit of a frame. And then I went in with my vintage photo, and it is hard to pick up, but then I went in with that, and I just did a really good brush to kind of blend it a little bit more. So that's how I distress them, in case that is something that is important to you. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our spine here is well, will take the wear and tear, so we want to reinforce it. And what I have done is I've taken a washi tape that matches. You don't have to use washi tape. You could probably cut a piece of lightweight scrapbook paper and put in there, and glue it inside, you know, whatever. But I think you do need to reinforce it because it's going to be getting some wear and tear on there. So I just mainly glue it in. I always glue in my washi tape. And you want to make sure that it covers both seams or both score lines. So I want it to cover the one I made and the one that's naturally in here as much as I can. And we'll just put the glue down. And try to align it up here so that both score lines are nicely covered. And you're going to need to lift up this little flap here to get inside, because you want this to be out on both ends. So you'll want to lift it up, and of course we should have cut it first. So I'll cut it off here like that first, tuck it inside there, and then come back and cut this off. Now if you have a straight flap, you won't need to cut off the ends like this, but because it's a triangular flap, it sort of goes in just a little bit. And just now we're only going to do this to the 1/4 of an inch and the 3/8 of an inch. The 1/2 inch one, we're going to do something different down here. So you won't need to put washi tape there. We're going to cover it with paper. A little different technique, so you won't need to. You can, I mean, it won't hurt anything, but you don't have to. All right, now let's glue these together. So we're going to take the 1/2 inch scored envelope, and we're going to place the pocket side up and the flap to the left, and we're going to take the 3/8 of an inch envelope the same way, flap on the left, the pocket side up, and we are going to glue this first one onto the second envelope, but we want to make sure we do not cover up that score line. So make sure that you see the score line, and you'll want to glue up next to it, but you don't want to cover it because you do want this to have a nice, you know, to freely fold over. And I'm going to use Fabri-Tac, but you're welcome to use what your favorite glue is. So now we're just going to glue this onto here, and you want to make sure your ends are lined up here. A little tricky with a triangular flap because they kind of go in a little bit, but yeah. Now if you're not using Fabri-Tac, you may have to really press down and wait a minute or two. It takes a little longer for craft paper to grip. But then this is this envelope. Now your 1/4 of an inch spine is going to be glued on like so on the end here. And so what you may want to do is you may want to flip the entire thing over and glue it on that way. And I'm going to glue this on now. So yeah, watch out for that score line and watch out for the sides to be even. Alrighty. Okay. So now our envelopes are all glued in, and the envelope journal will fold on like this. This will be the flap that kind of holds them together. And then we'll have a button with some ribbon to tie it together. Now to put the ribbon in, you're going to want to put it, okay, let's get back to our original. All right, So here is the 1/2 inch, here's the 3/8 of an inch, and here's the 1/4 of an inch. So you're going to want to put the ribbon here. So essentially that is, okay, so that is the 1/2 inch, that's the 1/2 inch envelope at the bottom, going out that way. Hopefully that's enough instructions. And I'm just basically going to get, oh, look at that. Huh. That's funny. I am going to just glue this in just because it's going to get glued on top as well, but I just want it to be nice and firm in there. I'm going to get like probably about 2 inches. I'm going to eye it up. And there it is in the middle. And I'm going to cut off, oh, let's see, it's going to wrap around this way a few times. I kind of like, I'm just going to do here. I'm just kind of guesstimate. I don't know. Let me measure it. That might be helpful. It is 24 inches, and it's more than enough ribbon. All right, so that has been put on. Now, as far as printing on the paper, I recommend that you print on a heavy paper. So this is Epson presentation paper. It is 47 pounds. Cardstock would be good too if you're printing. If you're not using digitals, then I would use a heavy scrapbook paper, a double-sided scrapbook paper that is substantial. Because what we're going to be doing is making pockets at these locations. And if you have the triangular envelope, you're going to have a pretty deep pocket here. And so we want to move that up a little bit. So you're going to be gluing here, and this is going to be part of that pocket, and you want it to be strong. All right, I put the front panel glued in, and now I'm going to flip this front part over, and this is the section I'm going to be working on next, with the pocket here and then the front of the other envelope on this side. So let me just show you it totally unfolded like so, comes over and flips. And so this is where we'll be doing the next bit of our work. This is the paper, or the sheet, that I'm going to glue in on this side. And I've chosen 5 inches, which I think allows enough room to reach in and get something in and out of the pocket here. So, but you can, whatever you're comfortable with, but just determine, you know, what width that you would like. And I'm going to be gluing this in here. I've also cut a pocket for the bottom. So this particular pocket is 5 by a little over 3 inches, and I put a decorative punch, you know, on the top of it. So this will be a pocket, but I'm also going to put a flap here. So I got an envelope, and this is just a regular A size envelope, and you can get any size that you want. And I'm going to be putting that in on the back of this sheet here before I glue it in. I went ahead and covered the front. I'm leaving this empty because I think this is a good place for journaling. But that is the pocket I'm going to be putting on to there. And you can determine where you want the pocket. And so I'm just going to glue it in here really fast. Inside, on the back side of this flap here. And I think I'm going to put it in the middle. Easiest decision, right? So I'm going to put that here. And I want it to open this way. And the reason being, I put one in the opposite way. And like every time you went to open this flap up, then the envelope fell out. And this way, when you go to unflap your journal, it'll stay closed until you're ready to open it. So that's why I put it there on the left side of my panel. I thought I would point out to you that if you have a deep pocket like this, gluing this on is going to be a little different, because you don't want to glue it. Of course, you don't want to glue it on the back here. So I put a little bit of glue right on the very edge of this flap and come in with the glue like this. In a general way. All right, kind of get that in there. Then I go around the edges, the three-sided edges of my, because I want, I want those to be glued down. And I put a little bit in here, but you really wouldn't have to. But I do want to make sure that it doesn't lift up for me. So make sure this is glued out well, and then put down your piece. And if you've overglued, and as long as you're using a glue that dries clear, you can just wipe it off. Okay, not that big of a deal. And get that put into place. And that way, I always check to make sure it's all clear, free and clear there. So I just wanted to show that to you, because if I didn't, you might make some boo-boos that I made. Wouldn't want that. So let me just go ahead and get this pocket in. Since I have it out here, it won't take but a minute to glue this in. And so there's the pocket. And that's one way too that I'm compensating for having to cut off the border on my digitals. There we go. All right. So that's looking good. Now over here, I am going to put something I do all the time, and that's my waterfall tag. I love it. I love it. I use it constantly. I do have a video on how to do that, and I wrestled with whether just referring you to that video or not. But the thing of it is, this is just going to require a couple of more steps than what the video had. It's just going to be slightly different, and so I thought, well, instead of trying to explain what the differences are, I'll just go through it, quickly. And first of all, the measurements are going to be different than what I have done. I'm making sure it's 5 inches wide. Most of the time, I'm using a much more narrow base, because for a tag, you don't need it to be this big. But I do want it to match up with this side, because it's 5 inches wide. Want it to match up with that. So that might be your guideline, is whatever this measurement here, the width of whatever this measurement is, probably the width you should be making the base of the tag with. And then I'm making it 9.5 inches. So 9.5 inches is pretty much a stable measurement that pretty much I always use. If you want to know how to do this with 2 business envelopes, and then you get additional pockets built in if you do use 2 business envelopes, I'll list that video down below, and you can refer to that. But because not everyone's seen me do this, I'm going to run through rather quickly. The video has more detail in it, but we're going to score. One piece is going to be scored at 2 inches, and the other piece is going to be scored at 4. Very simple. And we're going to fold them over like so. Then we're going to take the 4-inch and put it up against the 2-inch side. And I am going to take a sewing machine and sew these together. But you could glue them just as well. It's just that you want to make sure the glue is dried, make sure it's a fast drying glue, and you'll be putting like a little bead of glue right down the crease here of the 2-inch score, and you'll be placing that up there. And you know, I would put a couple of clips in it and just let it set for 10-15 minutes so that it takes, you know, nicely. But I'm going to sew mine. I'm going to move rather quickly here, and like I say, you can refer to the video to get a if you're new to this. But first of all, on the first flap, we are going to place our glue and go around the edges here. And I've cut a piece of paper that is slightly wider than my base here, just to kind of make up for any kind of variances. And I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to cut along this line. Now I like to use a paper trimmer because I like it to be super even, but you don't have to. It just depends on how confident you are to cut a straight line. So I'm going to cut that off there, and then I will use the scissors here on the side. All right. So this is our first one done, and then we just proceed with doing the same all the way down. We keep this flap down, and this is going to be our glue area right here. Just inside there. And we're going to stick it up, oops, right so that it matches the first one there. There we go. And once it matches, and then we're going to cut off and cut off, and we're just going to keep on doing it till we get down to the end, and then we'll have our waterfall tag. Now, where we're going to do something a little different with this is going to be a pocket eventually. So it's going to be a pocket. You're going to put something in here on this side. But we also want to be able to take a string or twine or whatever you have, and I'm using some hemp cord from the jewelry department. I want to be able to take this string and come down and go around a little button down here to hold this part down. And the reason I want to do that is because you may want to put photos in here. A person can, build this up a little bit more with some added things. And just to have it lay down, I am going to put in this little cording to come down here and keep it down. So to do that, I have to make a place to put the button down here. So I have a piece of scrapbook paper, and I believe this was this was about 3 3/4 inches by 5. So you'll want it to be as wide as your tag here, and you'll want it to come up. You can just judge how much you want it to come up to. Like for me, this would be good right about here, and put my button, right about like that. So that is going to vary however you want that to be. I went ahead and I cut off, the 2 edges, and I have a little old rewards card that I just use to cut off, the 2 edges, like a tag, like you would do a tag. And I'm going to mark, first of all, where I'm going to be putting this waterfall at, and then how far up do I want this to come. And I think I want it to come up about like this. And then at the bottom, where do I want the fold to be? Because down here is where I'm going to be putting a score line. So let's see, maybe I don't want it that far actually. I don't think I do. I don't think I want to cover that much up, so I'm just going to put it down to here. And put a little mark there. And then you want to make sure that from there you're able to glue this on and fold it up. So that's essentially, you want it to reach this part here because you're going to glue these together. So this is all going to be one unit. Okay. And then the fold line will be right about here. So it's scored, and so as you can see, I've got room to glue it onto the back of this and fold it up. All right, and it comes to where I want it to be down here. So that's something you have to kind of probably experiment with. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to attach it to the base. Like so. Now let me just put this back down here where I want it. I want it to be that far down, like so. And so I'll just take this here and put it where I want it to be here. Okay. So there we go. So this is attached to this. All right, I think I'm going to come in here and put a little extra right here. There we go. All right. And so your button then is going to be on here, and your string's going to come down to close it up. Now to make the button, I've shown this many times before. I just go ahead and put the hole in first. I like to use 3/4 of an inch hole punch. And by putting the hole in first, you can line it up. I always like to double up my buttons so that they're strong. So you can glue this on. You don't have to put a hole in both of them because they need to align anyway. So once you get the one hole, you can just keep on punching it. Put the decorative paper on and then punch your hole again. So that's how I am assembling the little button that goes down here. So before we glue this pocket in, we want to make sure that our cording is secured in the back. And you can put tape there. You can glue, paper over it. Let me, I think I'm going to do tape. I put more glue on it. I am the glue queen, I must admit. You want to make sure that whatever you put in here won't catch on your ephemera that you're going to be putting in and out. So you'll want to make sure your string is covered and this is glued down all the way around so that you can put things in and out without it catching. So we're going to punch our hole inside our flap and attach our button with our little brad. Put it right inside there. I'm not going to squeeze it. I'm going to point the feet down, but I'm not going to squeeze it in the middle too much. I'm going to leave a little bit of play there. Then I'm going to take my, let's see, I think I forgot to ink it really fast here. I'm going to put a piece of tape over that just to make the hole a little bit more steady or secured. Put a little something over that, and then I'm going to glue down the facing or the part that goes into that backing. just like this. And voila, you have it covered. I want to make sure this, doesn't cover up that score line. And so now you have this little button to wrap around as you need to hold down the flaps. And you can cut that off there. Now we're going to be gluing this whole section then into our journal base there. All right, it is glued in, and now you have a pocket over here. You have a pocket inside here, and you have a way to close this up. Comes down like so. These flip up, and this flips out. Pocket here. So this section, or this part of it, has been finished, and we will next time work on the other part of it, which is the part where the journal is going to be. So thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye.